Joining us now for the next hour is Jim Rogers, chairman of Rogers Holdings. Great to finally see you in person, and I hope the spread of breakfast is sufficient enough.
I will have to say they do a better job in London.
Oh my God! Did you hear that, Ross?
And of course,
the British breakfast.
It's not so early in the morning in London. Do you do this every morning?
I do this every morning, but he has these. He wanted a tuna fish sandwich. We couldn't find that. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. He has bagels and fruit and.
What he really wants
but
is.
That's not efficient.
What he really wants is fried egg, bacon, and beans.
I'm sorry.
English breakfast. Real English breakfast. And Christine, it's nice to see you. I think one of us is in the wrong place.
Yeah, I wonder who. That be you or me? It's good to see you, Jim.
I know. I'm the one. I should be home. I should be home.
Well, I was the only one that you didn't visit, so we're very lucky for you to be here with us in the United States very bright and early this morning. The big news, as you know, we were just talking about the extension of Bush-era tax cuts. And I've had many a chap like you, not exactly like you, but other gentlemen sit there and tell me there is so much uncertainty surrounding the extension of Bush-era tax cuts, and that's why they're not doing business. That's why they're not engaging in more deals. So now there is more certainty. Now what?
Well, obviously there's more certainty, and not raising taxes is always good for the world and for the economy, so we can presume that things will continue to slowly creep up for a while. I mean, what they're doing is not good for the world with all this money printing that's going on. When I say they, I mean the central bank in New York or in America. That's not good for the world, but at least they're not raising taxes, which is good for the world.
Too much money printing. There's even talk that there could be more money printing, a QE3, a QE4. I know you love that.
I know there's talk of it. It is dumbfounding, stupefying to me that we have a central bank in the United States that thinks all they have to do is print money. That has never worked anywhere in the world in the long term or the medium term, and yet we have central bankers in America who think that's what they're going to do, because that's all they know. It's unfortunate for the world.
Yeah, last time you came on, you said that there is inflation, not on CNBC, but in the real world, you said. But we just got a report out from Goldman that talks about the idea that since 1950, with unemployment being around 8%, inflation has not risen within 2 years. So historically speaking, are we in for inflation?
Nicole, have you tried to buy any cotton recently? Have you tried to buy any sugar recently? Have you tried to buy any
Well, yes,
recently?
Look in front of you.
Well, okay, yes, you can see the price of everything is going up. Food, entertainment, education, healthcare, prices are going up. I don't know who these guys are that say prices are not going up. I look in the real world, back to the real world, and I can see what's happening. And everybody watching this show, by the way, everybody watching this show knows that prices are going up.
Ross is one of those chaps as well. He wants to jump in.
Yeah, Jim, what the central banks will say, that's fine as long as wages aren't going up. So here's the thing, are wages going up or are prices going up going to crimp the consumer even more because they can't get a wage to compensate?
Well, but if prices are going up, that's called inflation, and ultimately wages go up too, because otherwise you squeeze people. You either squeeze profits or you squeeze wages or you squeeze both. Either way, Ross, that's not good for stock markets, and you all are in the stock market business.
Wages are being squeezed at the expense of corporate, so the companies are making more money at the expense of employees. And I mean, when you got 8%, 9% unemployment, Jim, who's going to be able to ask for higher wages right now?
Well, back to the point, some people are getting higher wages, but the main point, Ross, is the way the world works is prices rise, that feeds through into wages and or reduced profits. Do you have any other solution? I mean, if the price of tin goes up or the price of cotton goes up, what happens next? Don't prices rise? When you buy a shirt or when you buy food at the supermarket, don't your prices go up? Do you somehow have the ability to pay less than the rest of us just because you work for CNBC?
No, I'm not saying that, Jim. I'm just saying that the way this works is people have less money in their pockets. Household spending is going, disposable household income is going down.
You're making my point. You're making my point that what's going on in the world is not good for the world. They're printing money. It's causing inflation. Inflation's going up. People are suffering. Now, when people suffer, one of two things happens. Either the economy gets worse or it works through to wage increases, and that's called more and more inflation.
It's a question, of course, because if the economy contracts, is whether that then takes inflation out of the system because people aren't spending any more. This discussion will run. Jim, nice to have you on this morning. We'll heat up a bacon sarnie over here for you. Now, nothing to see here. Move along. That's also the message coming from Brussels this morning, following the decision by Eurozone ministers to make no new moves on the debt crisis. And there are ongoing disagreements, of course, over Eurobonds, with German Chancellor Angela Merkel saying it would go against the German constitution and the Maastricht Treaty.
It is our firm conviction that the treaties do not allow joint Eurobonds. That is no universal interest rate.
Guy is in Brussels, where he's been looking at the lack of agreement. Guy, at the moment, we've got the ECB in basically doing a holding job on Eurozone peripheral debt. They're in the secondary market. So look, how long do what's the next stage here? We couldn't get agreement at this meeting on where we go. So how long before we get an agreement on what is the way forward?
Europe makes decisions when it is in a crisis. So we need another crisis to force another decision. We've just had Ireland. There is an expectation that the EFSF will ultimately have to be expanded. This is the bailout facility, but that won't happen until that next crisis comes along, be that Portugal, be that Spain, or potentially another country. The fund would, at that stage, if it was Spain, need to be expanded. But as we heard from Klaus Regling, the boss of the ESFF last night, we've heard from the Germans, we've heard from other people as well. At the moment, Ireland is the only one borrowing from it. That process is now underway, and the fund is sufficient to deal with that issue at the moment. So, as you say, move along here and move along, nothing to see. So we're going to have to wait and see for that next crisis to emerge, to see what crisis it is, and ultimately to see the response. But Europe feels, and the Eurozone in particular, feels very divided at the moment. The Germans definitely see things their own way at the moment. They are not thinking about the wider good. They're thinking very much about Germany, the German economy, the German constitution, German public opinion, and that is the critical factor at the moment that is determining pretty much everything when it comes to the European decision-making tree. Jim, I just wanted to get your take on this. Where does Europe need to go next? Do we need a great leap forward in terms of fiscal integration, or do we start to need to think about other options?
Well, if you ask me, you need to think about other options. You need to let Ireland go bankrupt. They are bankrupt. Why should innocent Germans or innocent Poles or innocent anybody pay for mistakes made by Irish politicians and Irish banks? That is unbelievably bad morality, and it's bad economics as well. I mean, politicians don't care about morality. But, Guy, they're bankrupt. Let them go bankrupt. Let the bank's shareholders lose money. Let the bank bondholders lose money. Let Ireland reorganize and start over. That's the only thing that's going to work. Propping people up and carrying on lots of zombie banks and zombie companies is not going to work.
So Ireland is insolvent. Who else is insolvent, Jim?
Oh, God, watch CNBC. You know who's insolvent. Greece is insolvent. You know, Portugal's got a liquidity problem. Spain has a liquidity problem. Belgium has been faking the books for a long time. Italy's been faking the books for a long time. The UK is totally insolvent. I mean, this is a serious problem we have in the West. Somebody's got to deal with it.
Hey, Jim, this is Christine. I recall the last time you were on the show, you said you were going to buy the euro. Are you still sticking to that stance?
Oh, yeah, I own the euro, yes. No, I certainly bought the euro. I'm along the euro, and I'm staying with it.
Okay. UK, the pound's doing all right, Jim. I just want to point that out at the moment. The UK's doing okay compared to...
You said it was dead.
It is, Ross. I mean, you're right about that. It is doing well, and I don't own it since then. But it's not over yet, Ross. Come on, just wait. As I said before, we'll see. We'll see in a few years.
A few years?
We'll see.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
How long is a few years, Jim?
Well, let's see. It was about a year ago that I said that, I think it was. So at the time, I said 5 years. So we have 4 years to go.
All right. Okay.
We can ask me in 4 years,
All
okay?
Right. Yeah, we'll keep you up to speed with that. Guy, we'll let you go for the moment. Thank you.